You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor. Subscribe to the channel. Leave your comments below. Be sure to smash that like button. LSU gets a win over Central Michigan, and kind of going in, I think our general feeling, like we talked about, is similar to what we thought before McNeese, which is you're not going to come out of that win feeling better per se. You're a better team. You should win. You could either be sort of satisfied or you could be disappointed. And I think on all fronts, you kind of have to be satisfied with the way that LSU played against Central Michigan. Let me run through a little game flow, and we'll spend the first couple of I'm gonna put off talking about the Saints for as long as I can. So let's run through a little game flow here, and I'll give you my takeaways. I'd love to hear yours as well, and you can join us at 499-1045. LSU got the ball and started exactly as you would want them to. Tigers take the opening drive. They go right down the field, and they punch it in. 8 plays, 65 yards, needed just over 3 minutes. Deion Smith with an acrobatic touchdown catch in the left corner of the end zone. Beautiful play that Max Johnson put up, gave his receiver a chance, and Deion Smith rewarded him. That would be a recurring theme throughout the night. Central Michigan's first possession, Derek Stingley, physical, comes up with the forced fumble, the scoop and score by Andre Anthony. Tigers were up 14-0. And then Central Michigan got the ball, and that's where we saw Major Burns come away with a pick right there. So back-to-back possessions where LSU forced turnovers. One of the things that's key when you're playing a team like Central Michigan where you're a 3-touchdown favorite and you're that much better, you just got to nip it in the bud early. The worst thing that can happen in games like that is when you are the superior team and you allow, you're sluggish early and you allow another team to hang around. You go to halftime and it's a one-score game. Look at what happened this weekend with Kentucky against Chattanooga. You're playing an FCS opponent, and that game went into the fourth quarter a one-score game. It was 14-13. It was a one-point game. And Chattanooga kicked a field goal. They were up on Kentucky 16-14 in the fourth quarter. So worst thing you can do is let a team hang around. So LSU put the issue to bed early in this game. Deion Smith's second touchdown on a 3-play scoring drive put LSU up 21-0. Central Michigan would answer with their long catch and run, the 78-yarder where I don't know what the coverage was, who was at fault, but what I do know is that Major Burns had an angle and couldn't get the runner or the receiver out of bounds on the catch and run. And that's disappointing. Marshall Meter was, it was Ja'Cory Sullivan who had the 78-yarder. It was the same thing that we saw against UCLA, where the tight end on the 75-yarder, Major Burns, had an angle, got him pinned on the sideline, couldn't get him out of bounds. Second time we've seen that. So the fix seems pretty obvious. You just got to be a physical player and shove that ball carrier, that receiver out of bounds. Instead of going for their legs, be physical and cut them in half and get them out of bounds and live to play another down. But that was a theme, something else we'll talk about. At the start of the second quarter, we saw Corey Kiner go into the ball game for LSU, and the Tigers just couldn't get anything going rushing the football. That's been a recurring theme throughout. But really where it looked like LSU started to separate was on that 12-play drive. 12 plays, 65 yards for LSU, and it ended up on the shovel pass on the jet action to Kayshon Boutte, and the Tigers went up 28-7. As much as they struggled in the running game, and at that point, going into that drive, the Tigers had -2 rushing yards. That was midway through the second quarter, and LSU had -2 rushing yards at that point. You had to get creative. And something we saw a lot, we saw it last week, was the jet sweep action with Trey Palmer. They used Kayshon Boutte on Saturday night. They used it with the shovel pass. They used other action off of it. Corey Kiner's touchdown run was a play off of that action in the second half. So even though they're not able right now to line up and just beat people in the running game, what they are doing, what you are seeing LSU do, is get creative to find ways to run the football, and by extension, the short passing game. Look, Kayshon Boutte only put up 44 receiving yards in the game, but he did it on 6 catches. How many times did you see Max Johnson take a snap, boom, Kayshon Boutte in the flat, make a guy miss, get 4, 5, 6 yards? That is an extension of the running game. You hear people say, well, the passing game is an extension of the running game. That's what they mean. Just get the ball to your athlete in space and let him get what he can to have second or third and manageable to convert and keep drives alive. So I did like that change for LSU. Also in the first half, we saw Jack Bech have 4 receptions in the first half. 2 of them converted third downs, on the first offensive possession. Converted a 3rd and 5, a 3rd and 7. He also caught a pass on first down, which converted another first down. And then, of course, he had his touchdown reception. Jack Bech was awesome and continues to be a mismatch like we've talked about throughout this year. As a receiver, he played all of the positions, the X, the Y, and the Z. And if you can scheme him onto a linebacker or a safety, you win. That is a winning matchup for LSU because that is a receiver who is physical enough to play multiple positions and is a mismatch. So they found something there. And also a tip of the cap, of course, to Deion Smith, who was fantastic. He was the big standout at 5 reception, 135 yards, 2 touchdowns, even one play beautifully on the sideline that they reviewed, initially ruled him out of bounds. They would review it and ruled that he had gotten 1 foot down, sort of as he was contorting in front of the Central Michigan sideline. Look, Deion Smith got that opportunity because Trey Palmer was injured, and Jeray Jenkins last week had dropsies, and so did Brian Thomas. So it was like, okay, we'll give the next kid his opportunity. And Deion Smith went out and made the most of it. 5 catches, 135 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So he's earned even more opportunities as they move forward. So a lot to take away from this ball game. The real disappointment, of course, was that final drive right before the half. You saw Andre Anthony go down with the knee injury, and Ed Orgeron did confirm on Monday that Anthony has a season-ending injury. As a 6th-year guy, you just ache for him. He can't, he's been through so much. He's been through multiple injuries before. He's been through 3 defensive coordinators now, and he came back to have one more opportunity to push forward toward the NFL, and it just didn't go his way this year. He was having a great year. He scored a touchdown on Saturday, but the injury now is going to end his season and very likely his NFL career. So that's certainly disappointing for Andre Anthony. In the second half, Central Michigan got the ball to start the second half. LSU quickly forced a punt. Tigers get the ball, and this was the 93-yard drive that was actually 103 yards because on the review play, the completion of Deion Smith on the sideline, the officials spotted the ball at the wrong 45. Instead of spotting it at the Central Michigan 45, they spotted it at the LSU 45, so they actually negated 10 yards on that reception, which is ludicrous, but as I've said here so many times, all referees are bad at their job because it's impossible to be good, but even when you have the benefit of replay, you still screw up like that. So the 93-yard drive was actually 103 yards that LSU gained without penalty. So that drive was magnificent. They converted a 3rd and 4. They converted a 3rd and 10 with the 34-yarder to Smith, and that's where Devontae Lee scored the touchdown, which was great to see a guy who's persevered like that get in the end zone. We also saw in that second possession of the second half, that's where Mike Jones and Bug Strong went in, played the bulk of the second half. We saw Garrett Nussmeier go in the 5-minute mark of the third quarter. I love the fact that they didn't just put him in late in the game to hand the ball off. They let him go run the offense. But it's pretty clear right now that Max Johnson is the starter, is going to be the starter, and 5 more touchdown passes on Saturday. This offense is churning. Now they step up a level in competition this week with Mississippi State, but a lot to like in the game on Saturday, namely, I would say the emergence of Corey Kiner at the running back position. Ed Orgeron said Monday that Ty Davis-Price remains his starter. We'll see for how long. Great performance by Deion Smith. B.J. Ojulari with 2.5 sacks. Even without Andre Anthony, no Ali Gay, you still generated pressure. 5 sacks, 15 tackles for loss. You're starting to see this defense come into its own. You had more rhythm, more tempo offensively. It was a nice step up from a week ago against McNeese. So you're seeing this team improve even as the level of competition improves. Now they take a bigger leap on the road in SEC play Saturday against Mississippi State. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.